This is the grade 12 final project at Canterbury in the Literary Arts program for first semester is a creative writing portfolio for in the case that you're going to submit to creative writing universities. So this is my writer's portfolio, and I'm going to be reading a few poems from this and then a new one that I wrote just like last week. So new things. Okay. So this is to remind you I am not who you knew me as. I'm still dreaming about you as if we were together, so I have to relive the reality of us having broken up every morning as I lay in bed. Last night, I dreamt we were in your car and my hand was on your thigh, and even though we were happy, I still felt heartbroken. I am working on forgiveness, both for you and for myself, and through it, I can feel change coming, though I don't know in which direction I am falling. I tore our pictures off my wall last night, and it hurts to know you've probably done the same. I can feel you slipping away, and it's hard to reconcile our happiness with the people we've become. It's hard to accept loving you wasn't a mistake, even though it's over now. I want to believe being selfish won't hurt me because I was never very good at being yours, and I'm even worse at being alone. When I was in hospital, my window looked over a forest pathway. I watched the leaves slowly transition from the life of summer to the crimson of death. I wrote, it was nature's way of making music. At the time, it was reassuring to know the world was dying along beside me, or at the very least, starting to change. I should have known what was coming, but there is something hopeful about being in a place where you're meant to be healing. Now, I can feel winter draping itself over Ottawa, the fresh snow white and blinding, the evenings long and sad. Late at night, my depression at least feels natural, and I feel less guilt about being this way. July feels far away, even in my memories. Distant happiness locked away in warmth. When I read my journals from the summer, it's hard to remember I lived those words in the present. My memories were once the future, and my future will one day be a memory. I am reaching a point where I am so lonely I only know I exist because of other people seeing me, acting upon me, putting cold hands up my shirt and I shiver. Do you resent me for being the victim the way I resent my mother? Do you resent me for leaving the way I resent my father? I really am working on forgiveness, but now less for you and more for myself. Though I don't want to, I will still cling to you. I like to think if I called, you would answer. I like to hope that you've been working on forgiveness too. You told me you hoped one day I'd be able to see myself the way that you saw me. I want to be the boy you saw while you were blinded by love rather than the boy I actually was. I want to prove this sickness hasn't made me a bad person. I am worthy of forgiveness, both from you and then myself. By March, the snow will be melting, and by May, I will write poems about the joy of rebirth. I will see being alive as fortunate, and if I'm lucky, beautiful. The reminder the world is changing is the comfort that makes me feel like I am allowed to change as well. Like the seasons, I live in flux, shifting with the weather. And I remind myself in this world to remain stationary is even more of a waste than fucking up. I will still dream of you, still have a heart gripped by nostalgia, but I will make room for change and find summer in names other than yours. Just like the trees who morph their colors and lose their leaves for snow. Nature's way of dressing up for her own funeral. That's the first one. This poem is called Ink. His body speckled in light, standing beneath the flickering street lamp. I remember how the night felt fresh, mysterious, another threshold into adulthood crossed. I wished I could fit myself into the palm of his outstretched hand when he said the snow in my hair made me look magical, something to behold as beautiful. I speak frozen words, trying to expel my thoughts from my catacomb brain in a way he will be able to string me together. I have a collection of memories fermenting with age, and I can't decipher the things I think from the things I feel, from the stories I've been told by people much wiser than me. I've been told my mother and father used to hold the room together without words. They would slowly sway in the kitchen alone to no music. I wish I knew them then, but I'm coming to realize my parents were people too. Once he told me I can be very hard to love. I can still hear it in my heart. There are places in the city where I've written my name in black permanent marker, so it will forever belong to me. 17 is already slipping away, and I'm convinced my memories matter most. There was a truss bridge near my house growing up, a mausoleum for teenagehood, full of cigarette butts, kaleidoscope graffiti art, and engraved names of lovers who may or may not still be together. When young people claim old things, they breathe new life into the carcass and call it home. I've called many places home, but I I keep coming back to a memory of him laying in my bed, dripping in honey sunlight, still floating between asleep and awake, the covers tangled around his torso, still my enigma, listening to his heartbeat, our breathing synchronized. Somewhere he is in another boy's bathroom trying to scrub permanent ink off his skin. That's the second one. How am I doing for time?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I can read one or two more.
You're doing fine. Read two more. Go.
Okay.
Keep going.
This is a poem called Leftovers. So it's essentially 5 little poems that I had scattered around my notebooks that I amalgamated into one thing. You'll probably figure out where the poems switch. So this is called Leftovers. I couldn't stand to feel like I was walking through a sea of happy-looking people. I say to myself, why are you wasting your youth being depressed? The bus seats are blue, and I wonder why I always come back here. There's a party at your house tonight. I wish I could go and tell your sister what an asshole you were to me after we broke up. I would piss in your bed and throw everything off the walls of your room, but I know myself better than that. I'm just gonna wind up watching the party through pictures, and maybe I'll write an angry poem, but either way, I should just let things go, especially if I'm not gonna show up. The sky is cloudless and pink. My thoughts are dark and they curl through the air like smoke, leaving everything smelling sad. I like the way that I can say your name, and even when you are nowhere near, it still means you, to me at least. I like that your name will always be your name, and even in the mouths of other boys, I will always be the first name you loved. Isn't that something to be thankful for? I feel like a scribble, and I'm just trying to feel paper, and I'm so sad because I want to write something good, but all I know is blue. I'll read one more. This is the fresh one. She's fresh. I'm still trying to isolate anger from sadness because I don't know where one starts and the other ends, and where I exist outside the things I feel. Sometimes something happy reminds me of you, like watching him dance around the fire, holding the flame in his green eyes, the crackling of burning birch bark, heat pressed against me like a naked body. Maybe it's just because I was stoned, but I looked up and I saw your face over his, just for a moment, in the movement of its shadows. He looked like you from years ago, the version of you who exists now only in my notebook. I wrote it with the same feelings of love and devotion to the same songs around the same fire pit, and I wonder if I've changed less than I thought. Love a writer and you will never die. You always wanted me to write poems about you, so I wonder if this would make you happy. I annoy myself for continuing to immortalize you in ink, to fill my notebooks with your memory, and to speak about you to people who will never even know your name. I wonder if you'd be proud of me, kissing him and not wanting to die. Part of the reason I needed to recover was to prove to this version of us, living between the pages of my notebook when we first got together, that I can do it. I can be happy. And thankfully no longer with you, never fucking again with you, but with a boy I love with my whole heart, and a boy who I love like late nights by the fire, him curled in my lap, quiet and beautiful.